Good evening and thank you for joining us. Well, the weather system that was supposed to deliver just 2 to 4 centimeters of snow took an unexpected turn overnight.
Thunder Bay and area residents are now dealing with up to 20 centimeters of snow in some areas. The late winter storm has now shut down Highway 11 between Long Lac and Hearst and Highway 17 between White River and Sault Ste. Marie. And all that snow led to several accidents around Thunder Bay this morning. Phil Darlington reports.
Allison Kendall was out shoveling this morning, a job which is becoming more difficult to do because of her medical condition. She does not drive, and she's concerned for the people that drive her to and from the hospital for her treatment.
I need Cancer Society drivers to take me daily to go get my radiation treatments. And I'm afraid that these very kind volunteers are going to get hit coming in and out of my driveway. There's just nowhere else to put the snow.
She isn't the only one who was concerned about the roads, but as Traffic Sergeant Glenn Porter says, the accident numbers were surprisingly low for the condition of the streets.
No, actually, there's been a lot of nothing going on as far as collisions. The dispatchers upstairs are telling me that they think that there's somewhere between 5 and 10 for the day.
Thunder Bay's OPP say there were 3 accidents this morning on the highways that they patrol, including this one where a car took out a pole. While the next few days are expected to melt much of the white blanket that is covering the city, there is a concern over the next wave of road hazards.
My biggest concern really after all this though is the heavy water and the runoff we're going to get, and that's going to cause some problems too, no doubt.
And Sergeant Glenn Porter agrees that water is still a big concern for motorists.
The temperatures and the salt working, it'll mean that the roads are going to be a little bit slushier than normal, what they've been used to for the last month or so. So just slow down, adjust your speed, and everything should be fine.
Porter also asks that people be more mindful of where they park so Public Works can get the roads clear as quickly as possible. Phil Darlington, TBT News.
One of the people involved in yesterday's major crash at the corner of Golf Links Road and the Harbor Expressway remains in hospital in critical condition. Traffic in the area was halted for several hours after the 5-vehicle collision took down the traffic lights at around 4 o'clock. 3 people were sent to hospital, 2 of them suffered minor injuries, and 1 was released from hospital a short time after arriving. But the 3rd victim is still at Thunder Bay Regional, according to Traffic Sergeant Glenn Porter.
A 52-year-old male driver was taken to the hospital, and he's in critical condition at this time, so if anybody wants to say a little prayer for him. There was 3 other drivers that they sustained minor injuries and have since been released.
Porter says more details about the accident will be released next week, as investigators are still hard at work piecing together the events.
The controversial Big Thunder Wind Park is at the focus of yet more legal proceedings. Horizon Wind has filed an application for judicial review in the Ontario Superior Court of Justice. The company is looking for a final decision on its proposed 16-turbine wind farm south of the city. The move comes after lawyers on behalf of the Fort William First Nation filed various judicial review applications against 4 provincial ministries. The First Nation is looking to stop the Ministry of the Environment from approving Horizon's renewable energy application. Fort William alleges the Crown has failed in its obligation to consult on the development. Horizon spokesperson Kathleen McKenzie says they want the courts to look at the actions of the Ministry of the Environment.
I think the province is doing the same thing we are. They're reviewing their options. They're looking at what they legally can and can't do on the one hand, and on the other hand, they're looking at what makes the most sense in terms of moving forward. We're just asking the court to make a decision that will straighten everything out.
Recent correspondence between the lawyer for the Fort William First Nation and the province indicates that Horizon has been forced to halt all work on the wind farm site until court applications have been heard. The earliest that could happen is in June. McKenzie says the legal action of the First Nation is creating some confusion, but adds the company isn't giving up on the project. She also says Horizon has no plans to take legal action against the First Nation. Fort William officials could not be reached for comment.
Another group has come forward expressing opposition to holding a plebiscite on the city's proposed event center. Citizens for a Waterfront Event Center say with only a week to go before the deadline that would legally allow a plebiscite, there is not enough time for council to properly consider the issue. The group, which says it now has 1,800 supporters, also believes the Phase 3 study and negotiations with Thunder Bay Live should be allowed to play out before any decision on whether to proceed is made. Citizens for a Waterfront Event Center will be making a presentation at City Hall Monday night. That's when Councillor Linda Ridholm will formally present the wording of a potential plebiscite question that she has formulated.
And the province to move forward with a planned youth centre. The proposed $10 million project fell apart late last month after funding from senior levels of government didn't come through. The Friendship Centre is requesting the city and the province continue to work on the youth centre to purchase the building and proceed with renovations of the former Port Arthur Prosvita. It's believed $1 million is needed to purchase the building. Another $2.3 million is necessary to renovate the facility. Executive Director Bernice Dubec believes there's still a strong partnership with the City of Thunder Bay.
I would like to see some leadership and a political will to move this agenda forward. We're at a critical junction in this partnership, and we would like them to take a leadership role in establishing at least the youth centre component.
Dubec says the IFC will continue working with the federal government on another phase of the project. That includes moving the Friendship Centre to the Pros. Dubec says the offer to purchase the building doesn't expire until April 15th. A report on options for a youth centre is to go to council later this month.
More than 2 years after a deadly explosion at Terrace Bay Pulp, the Ministry of Labour has now imposed a huge fine in connection with the incident. 28-year-old TJ Berthelot died in October of 2011 after a blow tank exploded on the 4th floor of the mill. The mill's former owner, Terrace Bay Pulp Incorporated, was charged for failing to ensure the blow tank being worked on was free of any explosive or flammable substance. The company pleaded guilty and was convicted on 2 of the counts. It has been fined a total of $275,000. The fines also include a 25% victim surcharge. Terrace Bay Pulp was owned by the Buchanan Group when the accident occurred.
It looks like the Ontario Progressive Conservatives have found their new candidate for Thunder Bay Superior North. Derek Parks has announced his intention to seek the nomination. The post was previously held by Tamara Johnson, but the PC party removed her as a candidate after she made controversial remarks about businesses on the Fort William First Nation. Park says it's a situation that he'll have to deal with, but he doesn't feel that it will hurt his run nor the party in northwestern Ontario.
No, I don't think it'll hurt the party at all. I think the opportunity, I watched for a month after it happened. I didn't hear anything that was going on, so I asked some people and said, do you think I should run? And they said, yeah, it'd be great if you would. So I'm here. I've got a very keen interest in seeing what happens and plan to learn lots, and hopefully people of Thunder Bay Superior North think I have what it takes to work in Queen's Park.
The Thunder Bay native left the city about 20 years ago and is currently living in Cambridge, Ontario, but he says if he is successful in defeating MPP Michael Gravel, he would like to move back to Thunder Bay. The PC nomination meeting is scheduled for Tuesday afternoon at the Valhalla Inn.
Thunder Bay police are looking for one man in connection to a pair of armed robberies in the city. The first incident happened at Alley's Corner Variety on South Franklin Street. At around 4:20 yesterday afternoon, a man pulled a syringe and tried to get into the cash register before fleeing on foot. Then at 4:45, a similar incident occurred at Barb's Laundromat on North Cumberland Street. The man is described as Caucasian, around 5'8", with a thin build. Anyone with information is asked to call city police or Crime Stoppers.
Since 1923, the Superior Courthouse on Camelot Street has been serving the citizens of northwestern Ontario. Today, judges and other court staff gathered to say their final goodbye. Justices John McCartney and Bruce Fitzpatrick opened up the main courtroom to the media during the lunch hour and marveled about it being one of the most beautiful and regal places in all of Thunder Bay. And it wasn't just the classic design, it was the stories over the past 91 years that gave it personality. Some speakers even went as far as to refer to the building as a her, as they thanked it for being magnificent, grand, and functional. And although everyone spoke about losing an old friend, they say all of the people who helped to make it great are heading to the new courthouse to start fresh.
To our new state-of-the-art courthouse, we are comforted by the fact that our loyal and competent staff will be marching along with us.
We are all sad to leave, but we know and we remember that the value of the building has been created first by the craftsmanship and skill of those who designed, built, and operated it, but ultimately, its value has been created by the people who have used it so magnificently.
the new consolidated court on the corner of Brodie and Miles Streets will be open and seeing its first court cases Monday morning.
Healthcare students and medical professionals are always looking for ways to hone their skills. High-tech mannequins are a great teaching tool, but they're very expensive and not often available to those in smaller communities in northwestern Ontario. But now they will be, thanks to a donation made by Superior North EMS to the Northern Ontario School of Medicine. Ryan Bonazzo explains.
Ideally, every community would have access to this type of high-tech medical mannequin, but that's simply not the case, or at least it wasn't. But the Northern Ontario School of Medicine can now transport equipment across the region in this decommissioned ambulance recently donated by the City of Thunder Bay and Superior North EMS. It's called the Simbulance, as in simulation ambulance, and it will greatly help healthcare learners across northwestern Ontario.
We have some high fidelity equipment, the mannequins, which we have primarily in Thunder Bay and Sudbury, and because they're very expensive, we don't have many of them in smaller communities, and to be able to provide that level of education, we will transport the mannequins to some of the smaller communities using the Simbulance.
Real life experience matters, but then simulation towards real life experience also matters.
Chief Norm Gale of Superior North EMS feels it's a win-win. Not only will medical students benefit from the Simbulance, but also experienced professionals practicing in small communities across the region who will now be able to better hone their skills.
The mannequins in there, the diagnostic equipment are all the types of things that they would be using in real settings, so it helps prepare them, makes them more comfortable, builds their skills.
And improved skills means improved care for patients, adds Farrell.
If you can practice a procedure on a mannequin rather than a real person, obviously, you can make many, many mistakes with a mannequin and it doesn't make a difference. So it really is around patient safety so students can learn in a safe environment.
Ryan Bonazzo, TBT News.
The Thunder Bay Regional Health Sciences Foundation has issued a warning about a possible scam. It says it's received reports from several people who've received calls asking for donations to the Health Sciences Center. But the foundation says it's not running a phone solicitation campaign, and it says anyone who receives such a call should contact police.
Well, many people are fascinated by the unique antlers of moose and elk, and now the Thunder Bay Art Gallery has launched its latest exhibit, a collection of artwork created out of antlers. Michael Anderson is the Thunder Bay artist behind these detailed forms of art. This is his first solo exhibition, and it's called Carvings from the North Shore. Art Gallery spokesperson Alistair McKay says it's the largest sampling of moose antler carvings they've ever presented. Anderson says each piece is culture-related, depicting scenes and stories from his life growing up.
I try to carve it to let the younger people see what the legends are about. It was stories I heard from my grandpa about all these mystical water creatures. And
people coming to visit here in this exhibition will be exposed to the signs and the symbols and the shapes and the objects and the stories that are conveyed about that culture through Michael's, as you say, very detailed work in this unique medium.
Anderson has displayed his artwork in Toronto before as part of a group exhibition. Carvings from the North Shore will be on display until May 25th.
Well, dozens of people will be stranding themselves up a scissor lift next month, all in order to raise money for the United Way. The 22nd annual Great Billboard Rescue was announced this afternoon. The fundraising begins today and will go all the way until the event May 15th. Teams of 4 will be stranded high in the sky with the hope that a phone call to a friend or family will result in pledges that finally get them down. That money goes to the United Way and the 28 organization it supports. Now, the event has also been called one of the United Way's most successful fundraisers.
Trying to achieve anything over 100,000, that's what our goal is. And we've been fortunate enough to raise, a number of years, raise close to $150,000 for that day, which is the single largest fundraising initiative in Thunder Bay, I think, I've ever seen.
There are more than 30 teams already signed up, and organizers hope to attract more in coming weeks.
Well, if you want to escape the winter weather, the 16th Annual Home and Garden Show is the perfect place to be. The show opened its doors this afternoon and is presented by the Canadian Lakehead Exhibition